Good morning to you, and it's a pleasure this morning to be reflecting on a passage from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 8. And this passage has led me to reflect a good deal on an issue that's arisen throughout the period of the pandemic and indeed more generally. And it concerns the extent to which people are willing or reluctant to look for help when they need it, with their physical health or with their mental health. Everybody's different in this respect, I suppose. Some people are, don't really want to look for help unless they think there's something really serious. They don't want to look for trouble, I suppose, if it's particularly if it's physical health. They might find out something they'd rather not know. Or during the pandemic, they may have thought, well, the system's so overburdened, it doesn't need me causing any more putting any more demands on it, or they might think, oh, if I go to a health-related setting, I might actually catch COVID, which would be an irony. For whatever reason, a whole host of reasons, perhaps people haven't been as forthcoming with non-COVID, I guess, health-related issues, and the fear has been that this builds up then a latent sort of backlog of health issues which are going to come to the fore because they haven't been dealt with. And with respect to mental health, of course, it's just as pronounced. It's always been an issue with mental health problems that people have had. It's difficult to come out with that and to seek help with that, and very, very challenging. I mean, my career has been working with children and young people in secondary schools, and it's always been very apparent to me how difficult young people can find it and adults to open up about what are mental health problems. See it maybe as a sign of weakness. They may fear the reaction and the attitudes that brings out in other people. So how willing are we to look for help when we need it? Well, in our passage today, we're in that part of Matthew, which is Matthew's Gospel, which is concerning Jesus' healing ministry. So Jesus has delivered the Sermon on the Mount, and he comes down from there with large crowds around him. I'll read the passage that I'm referring to, Matthew 8, verses 1 to 4. When Jesus came down from the hill, large crowds followed him. Then a man suffering from a dreaded skin disease came to him and knelt down before him and said, "Sir, if you want to, you can make me clean." Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him. "I do want to," he answered. "Be clean." At once the man was healed of his disease. Then Jesus said to him, "Listen, don't tell anyone, but go straight to the priest and let him examine you. Then, in order to prove to everyone that you are cured, offer the sacrifice that Moses ordered." Now, I often find that I learn more from Jesus' interactions with other people than anything else. And again, reflecting on children and young people in schools. When young people are looking for help, it's all too easy as adults in schools to be, often are, to be very busy and to sort of, not give things the time that they deserve. And of course, sometimes people are just trying it on, aren't they? So it's sometimes, it's difficult. But cries for help, it's really important that we recognise them, don't we? And Jesus does. He could have been too busy here, couldn't he, to engage with this man. The clamour that's around him, given the context, he could have, moved on and sort of dismissed it. How often do we do that? It worries me a good deal, reflecting on myself over the years. What have I missed just for being too busy or not recognising something, where somebody needs something from us. And I think there's a lot to learn from Jesus in his approachability, his responses to people, and his readiness to engage sometimes with what might have been considered in that context the most unlikely people. So this man with this awful affliction, leprosy, which had an awful lot of stigma about it, and it really rendered people as untouchables, unreachables, really cruel sort of context. And if we think, oh well, that could never happen now, well, when you've got to reflect on HIV stigma and prejudice and some of the worst things that have come out about that, and unfortunately there's a propensity amongst people to stigmatise others with certain conditions. So this man is in this awful situation, and it's really interesting, isn't it, that he's willing to. There's people all around. It must have been quite a daunting prospect in a way to approach Jesus, and it's all about his faith, isn't it, in Jesus. He says it doesn't occur to him to think, well, I wonder if Jesus actually can heal me, because he says, sir, if you want to. So the issue is if he's willing to. And Jesus recognises this faith, I guess. And he does what really was undoable. He touches this man, and lepers, people didn't touch. But he did, because he presumably could have healed him without touching him, but it was part of the healing for this man, because he was, I guess, isolated, stigmatized, that Jesus makes that physical contact. I do want to, he answered. Be clean. And the man was healed. And so there we are, Jesus' healing ministry, and a very, very important episode in that short excerpt from chapter 8 of Matthew. And it leaves me thinking about approaches people make and the extent to which we all have a responsibility to recognise when people need help and to do anything really that's in our power to help them. Thank you.